Hey, this is Freight Train Jim. I'm going to show you some ways to use some of the navigational tools that are included in the ACE mod to mark positions with great accuracy, which is necessary on higher realism settings where you don't have access to map marks. First thing, you're going to want a pen and paper close by to jot down coordinates with. That's handy unless you got a pretty good memory to remember long strings of digits. Next, we're going to grab the stuff we need out of the ammo box. We're going to make sure we have a stock GPS, just your generic GPS. That we're going to use this more for like error checking than anything, and to show you how inaccurate it actually is compared to the stuff we're actually going to be using. For our sights, you're going to want a vector 21. And in our either a uniform or vest, has to be one of the two to use them properly. You're going to want to get map tools and a MicroDAGR GPS. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways, a couple different methods. It's good to have lots of tools in your toolbox of marking different positions. Well, now the first thing you can do to mark your own position on the map is to look around and get your surroundings. But as you can see, we're in the desert, and it's a whole lot of nothing on the terrain-wise, so it's kind of difficult to tell where you are. So let's get that first. I'm going to assume a firing position here, and if you open up your stock GPS, you'll note that it gives you a range or a coordinate reading of 005, 015, and that's pretty inaccurate, and I'll show you why in just a second. But let's first find that on the map. Now, all coordinates come in sets of digits. In this case, it's a 6-digit readout, so we want to look at the first 3 and then the last 3 to find it. And it operates like a number line. If you think like a number line, X is your first coordinate going left and right, and then Y is your second coordinate going up and down. This operates the same way. 005 is our X coordinate, 015 is our Y coordinate. So to use that, we're going to use the markings on our map. If you see, this is by the square kilometer right here. We've got 00, 01, and so on, and then 01 over here on the side, 02. We want to zoom in further and get to it breaks down into the square 100 kilometer. So now we can find grid 005, 015. So X comes first, we're looking left to right. So up here, look for 002, 003, 4, 5. Okay, so this means that we're going to be somewhere in this area in between 005 and 006. 015 is our Y coordinate, that's our up and down. So come over here, we see 013, 014, 015 over here on the left. That means we're going to be somewhere in this area between 016 and 015. Put those two together, 005 and 015. That means we are somewhere in here. Now, unfortunately, that's as precise as you can get with the stock GPS. So we know we're in here, but that's not very precise for Arma. So we're going to get it a little more precisely, a lot more precisely, using the MicroDAGR. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. Oops, I don't want to spoil it using the in-game GPS. The default key for your MicroDAGR is the home key, and if you press it once, it puts it in just display mode over here on the right, where you can still look around and shoot and things like that. If you press home again, it puts it in full screen mode where we can actually use it. And then to get it off your screen entirely, press Control Home. That will cancel it out. But we want to use it, so let's open it back up. And here it gives us, if you look on its default screen, it gives us a coordinate right here. And this is actually our position according to its GPS. And if you notice, the first 3 digits of each one of these readouts is the same one as our stock GPS, 005, 015, but it has 2 further digits. And we're going to use that to refine it even further. The first 3 will get us to the square 100 meters. The next digit will get us down to the square 10 meters. And then finally this last digit finds us down to the square meter. So probably less space than I'm taking up just by laying prone on the ground. That's how precise it's going to be. I'm going to write this down just because I can't remember 6 numbers off the top of my head. 00538, 01, 501. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to mark positions using the MicroDAGR and the map tools. First one, we're going to use the map tools to find that precise location. So cancel out your MicroDAGR, go back to your map, And now you're going to want to use your Ace Interact by pressing Shift Windows, and doing this brings up this context menu, and one of them is the map tools, and we're going to show small map tools. This is a small map to start with, so the small map tools is going to be plenty big enough. On Altus this would be, you know, relatively a lot smaller, but it's plenty big enough for us here. Okay, so on the map tools you'll notice we have two sets of rulers, and these rulers are laid out in each one of these big marks, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's 100 meters. And the little marks inside is to the 10 meters. For instance, you know, from 1 to 0 here, each one of these marks would be 10 meters. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. We're going to use this to find our precise coordinate. So first of all, let's come back in just for a reference. We know we're somewhere in this grid right here. I'm going to mark, just for reference, our coordinate that we found in our MicroDAGR, which was 00538, 01501, just so I don't have to keep running back to the pencil and paper. Now, the grid we're in right here, we know we're in there somewhere. I'm going to click and drag this map tool, and we're going to put this corner right here, right on the corner of this grid, so that we can measure inside this grid pretty accurately. And I'm a stickler for this kind of accuracy. I played Silent Hunter for a long time, so being precise with map tools is one of my pet peeves. It's pretty well lined up. Okay, so let's look at the x-coordinate first. 005. We're looking for the 3, 8. Okay, so the 3 is going to be, this position will be 0 because you always read it from left to right, and then the y-coordinate will be from bottom to top. But we want to find 3 positions in using these marks. That would be 0. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. Okay, so we know it's going to be between here and there. And then we're also looking for the 8. So from 1, 2, 3, from 3, we're going to find 8/10 of the way from this one to the next one. You figure about halfway, that's 5. Half again, 8's going to be about right there. Okay, so we know that's our x-coordinate. This is not our final position, but we know that we're somewhere along this axis right there. Okay, and then let's go find the y-coordinate, 01501. That's going to be very, very, very close to the bottom of this particular grid. 01 is just 1/10 of the way from this mark to this mark, so that would be 5. Halfway in between these two marks is 5. Cut it in half again, call that 2. One more, let's say it's about right there. And luckily Arma does leave you a way to have these lines coming out from your pointer, so we can line this line up with that X, and then come down here and mark where we found that one. Right there is pretty good. There is our position. I'm going to mark it with pause. Delete these marks. And now, to check, come back out to Arma. I'm going to open up the stock GPS, and bingo. As you can see, we are right on top of that mark. So that's one way you can use map tools and the MicroDAGR to find a position. But let's look at actually marking other targets. For this, we're going to use the vector, and the vector is a lot like the rangefinder in a lot of ways, but it's got some pretty cool applications. First of all, to use it, I believe the stock keys to use it, if you press the Romeo key, R, and hold, you get a little circle, and then you release it on a target and it ranges that target. For instance, that tower is 850 meters away. If you press Tab, you get a bearing. So we can use this to find different locations or different bearings at different positions. Now the rangefinder does this too. In fact, the rangefinder actually has better optics than the vector, but the vector can do some cool stuff that the rangefinder can't. Namely, the vector can actually send data to your MicroDAGR and other tools as well if you're sniping. But for right now, we're going to worry about the MicroDAGR. Bring it back up, press home twice to get it zoomed in all the way. And then up here at the top, just click up here at the top where the clock and the battery readout and stuff are. And this clicking up there gives you these icons. If you press Connect To while you have a vector, you'll notice that the main screen now changes with laser icons. This now means that data from the vector will be sent to the MicroDAGR. Control Home to close it out. Let's bring up the vector again. Now to send data from the vector to your MicroDAGR, you want to press both the R key, Romeo key, and Tab at the same time, simultaneously. And if you do that, press and hold them for a second, like that, until your circle appears. Let it go. That gives you both a range reading and a bearing reading, but it also, I'm going to press home and bring up my MicroDAGR again. Also, now if you look, you now have a coordinate here. This coordinate is the precise location of the spot that you just lased. So you can use this to find points on the map, just like we just did, by using your map tools and other things. You know that way. I'm going to show you a couple more ways to do it. One way, the first way I'm going to show you is going to be using the MicroDAGR completely. We're actually going to use the MicroDAGR to find that point. Let's pick a new target though. I like the look of this APC up here, so we're going to find its position precisely using the MicroDAGR. So again, press Tab and R simultaneously and hold them for a second until the circle appears. Let it go. Now we've just sent that data to our MicroDAGR. Open it back up, and here's our readout right there. I'm going to jot this down on pencil and paper. 009er 08 01143. Okay, and again, you can take that and you can go to the map and use your map tools just like we did, but I'm going to show you a different way. Come back up here, click up at the top again, and now I'm going to press mark right here. And when you go to mark, you're going to have an opportunity to enter a grid coordinate. We're going to enter the grid we just found, which was 009er 08. You can put a space in there, it's fine, I do just for readability. 01143, press OK. And now you have an opportunity to give it a name. If you've got a bunch of different marks that you found, like if you're scouting or something, you might want to name them something different so you can tell them apart. I'm just going to mark this one as 1XAPC. OK. And now it's on a list. And we can actually use this function if you wanted to set a waypoint to be followed using your MicroDAGR, so that it'll keep you on track to follow a waypoint. However, I don't want to go to this APC. I want to mark it on the map. I'm still going to set it as the waypoint for right now. This will bring up the compass, as I said. You know, if you were to get up and maneuver around, the pink line right there is the bearing to your target, to your waypoint. The range readout tells you how close, but again, we're not trying to go to this tank. We're trying to mark it so we can kill it. Well, not really kill it, but spot it anyways. To do this, we're going to go to the map on the function right here. And this brings us to a map, as you can see, that looks very similar to our big map with a couple differences. First of all, this is initially fixed to your position. If you use these keys right here, the plus zooms you in, the minus zooms you out, and they go quite detailed. I can zoom all the way in. As you see, it actually looks like I'm so close that my pause mark isn't as accurate as we thought. It's plenty accurate. It's just that's how low the level of zoom is. You can also, if you use right click, you can then drag around just like you can the normal map, and at that point you can use your mouse wheels to zoom in and out. If you want to find your position again, this middle button right there locks you back on your position, but we don't want to do that. We want to find a yellow pin on the map. So let's go looking for a yellow push pin. Right there it is. So this push pin is the mark we just found. If you've got multiple marks, whichever one you have highlighted will be solid. The rest of them will be kind of transparent. Now, unfortunately, we can't place a mark on this map that will appear on the other map, the big map. However, and this is the only time I'm going to use this, you can put a shift-click mark down on this pin, which I'm going to do, just for the purposes of marking this particular position on our big map. I'm not going to use this, you know, in game to navigate to. We'll use it to error check. Close it out. Now open up your big map. Get the map tools out of the way for now. Go find your shift-click mark. Right there it is. Now, with this mark, you can now place a mark down on this map that should be the exact position of that vehicle. So let's use the shift click just to double check and see. Come back out, check it, and boom, we're right on target. That's how you mark a precise mark using the MicroDAGR. Now I've got one other way to show you. This one's pretty old school. It's using the map tools completely, other than getting range and bearing from the vector. So we're going to do the same thing, start the same way. Let's find a new target. And you know what? I like the look of this tank way back here in the distance. So let's get a range to target. and a bearing to target. We got a range of 1115. Again, the key for that is R. I'm going to jot this down, 1115, and then press Tab to get a bearing. Bearing is 73. Alright, so we're going to find that using nothing but the map tools. So come back to your map, and now we're going to be using this compass portion down here. And the first thing we want to do, if you'll notice right in the middle of your compass, you've got this black dot. We want to put this black dot exactly over our in-game position, which we found earlier, right there on the pause mark. So you want to take, drag, put it over the pause mark, right there. Okay, so now we can line this compass up to our bearing. On the interior of this, you can see it's marked true north right there. If you follow it around, this would be 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30, 40, on around. So what we want to do is find 73 degrees. That was the bearing that we're looking for. So come around 60, 70. Here would be 70, 1, 2, 3. Okay, but how do we get around to that? Well, easy. You want to press Control and hold it, and then left click, and once you're doing this, you can now drag this red line. It's also, the new function in Arma is to draw lines by pressing Control, so I'm just going to delete that. One note, don't look at the mills around the outside. That would be for like adjusting mills with a artillery piece or something. We're not using the outer, we're using the inner ring right here. So click, again, Control, hold down Control, left Control, and then left click and drag. There's 70, 71, 72, 73. So now, delete those marks, those lines. Now this red line is lined up pointing directly at our target. So that's, we know that our tank is somewhere along this line, but how do we measure? Luckily, down here on the edge right here, we have another ruler. Again, by kilometers, from 0 to 1, that's 1,000 meters, 1 to 2 is 1,000 meters, and so forth. And also, because this is a straight edge, which is parallel to our compass mark right there, this ruler is also pointing at bearing 73. So without pressing Control again, I'm just going to click and drag, keeping in the same bearing. I'm going to drag this corner over to our pause mark, and I'll line this corner up right here on top of it. So now our ruler is effectively pointing straight at our tank, and all we have to do is measure. Our range was 1,115 meters, so from 0 to 1, there's 1,000 meters. There is from here to here, that's 100 meters right there. Each one of these marks is 10 meters, so we need to go 10 more. There's one that's 1,100 meters, 1,110, halfway in between, right there is 1,115 meters. Mark 1x MBT. I'm going to hide my map tools again, self-interact, shift Windows, go to hide map tools, and we now have our tank marked. And just to verify, let's put a shift click down, check it again with our vector, and as you can see, right on target. That's 3 different ways that you can use the tools in ACE to mark precise marks down on the map without having to use your in-game GPS or even shift clicks. Thanks, and have fun.